Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And what is up, you guys? Welcome to the stream. Happy Easter to you all. I hope that you guys have had a great day with friends and family. And, you know, I think the only thing that could possibly make a holiday even better is when the New York Mets have a nice win like they had this afternoon out in San Francisco. I'm going to be honest. Look, this is the first stream that we did here over the weekend series because, of course, the game's on the West Coast. A lot of late start times. Most of us are asleep by 1 o'clock unless you're insane like I am. Either way, once those games end, we're ready to go to bed, especially the way this series began on Thursday, where it just looked like a continuation of what we saw in those 3 games out in St. Louis, the series beforehand. But the Mets come back Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and look like a completely different team as they take the final 3 of this set for the series W over San Francisco. And you know what? Saturday, Friday, those kind of turned into laughers. This was a much closer game, obviously, as we know, for the majority of it. This might have felt like the most rewarding win that I saw the Mets have here. Not quite that entering the 8th inning trailing. I guess it actually does snap that streak, doesn't it? Because the Mets were down 2-1. So I do believe this officially snaps that unbelievable ugly stretch 0-70 something of trailing after 8 innings and not having a comeback. So I think this is it, if I'm not mistaken, unless I am missing something. A nice comeback win from the Mets in the 8th inning. Of course, as we know, they get the double from Jorge Polanco to lead things off. Luis Robert with a base hit to right field to put runners on the corner. The stolen base there where he somehow evades the tag to put 2 in scoring position. And then with 2 strikes, Luis Torrens pinch hitting for Jared Young with the lefty coming in on in relief. And he flicks one down the right field line to put the Mets ahead for good, make it 3-2. And the Mets kept pouring it on from there. We know Vientos hitting one down the left field line. Matt Chapman throwing that ball away to allow another run to score. And then Marcus Semien coming through with another run scoring double. What a series he had as the Mets take this one 5-2 today on Easter Sunday. Put it in the book. Very happy. What's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro. You know the drill here. Daily Mets content, post-game streams after every Mets game, unless they end at 1 o'clock Eastern like the last couple of nights have. But happy to be back here with you guys. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed so you can catch all my content. Turn channel notifications on so you know when I post a video or when I go live for breaking Mets news or for post-game streams. And of course, leave this video a like. Really appreciate that. We're so close to 6K. That was my goal for opening day. We're a little behind, but that's all right. I appreciate it so much. And as you know, you can also follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Links to all of those are in the description of this video down below. A nice win. Seamus saying happy Easter. Seamus, happy Easter to you. Appreciate you tuning in, man. I hope you had a great time with friends and family, like I said at the open. Armand, what's up? He says, hey, now 3-game winning streak. That's called a winning streak, to quote Major League, right? Great movie. I think probably the best baseball movie of all time, outside of The Sandlot, of course, because I grew up watching that as a kid at all the baseball camps that I would do over summer. But that is a 3-game winning streak for the Mets, who erase a 3-game losing streak that they were on after the final 2 games in St. Louis and the opener on Thursday out in San Francisco. Stanley's, Tony, happy Easter. What's the status of Beatty? So we know that Beatty was scratched from the lineup today. He had a jammed thumb. It was on the slide that he had yesterday when he hit a ball down the line and had a hustle double. He jammed it on the base, sliding head first last night into second. So don't know the status on him. Just know that he was scratched. Obviously left the Mets with a very short bench today, just 3 guys. I believe they used all 3 of those guys. Tyrone Taylor, Luis Torrens, and who am I missing? One other guy that probably should have been in there at some point. What am I missing? I think that might have been it, actually. Maybe they did not use everybody. In any case, no status on Beatty. I would guess he's probably okay, but we're not totally sure at this point. Tacoma reported jammed thumb. That's why he was scratched. Armand's amazing per Mets Muse. Mets offense during its ongoing 3-game streak. 40 hits, 24 runs, 12 extra base hits, and 10 walks. Yeah, that'll play right there. That is impressive. And like I said at the beginning of this stream, man, what a night and day difference it was from the final 2 games in St. Louis and the opener on Thursday, where they just looked horrible. I mean, 3 hits on Wednesday in the finale against the Cardinals, 5 hits to open the series against Robbie Ray and the Giants on Thursday, and it just looked like they were sleepwalking. And, you know, I don't pull punches. I'll call it how I see it on that particular day. And then it's like a light just switched for this team on Friday. The lineup just came out of nowhere and just started hitting, and that all without Juan Soto. And we are going to give grades for all of the team here this after this past weekend, just like we did after the Cardinals series. We'll go through the position players lineup, the starting pitching, the relieving, and of course our manager Carlos Mendoza, and hand out grades to all of those guys as we get a little further into this stream. But wow, what a performance and what a turnaround for this lineup over the last couple of days. Nico, what's up? Happy Easter, Tony. To celebrate, we get a Mets win. I love it. The Easter Bunny brought us a nice little Mets W. I would prefer, you know, a chocolate bunny, but I'll take a Mets W any day of the week. Earl, happy Easter, everyone. This definitely was just what the doctor ordered. I guess we shouldn't have panicked. Yes, I think that's what you tried to say. Look, I'm not going to lie. I was a part of that panic too. Not to say that the world is ending and the Mets aren't going to win 80 games this year. They're going to finish under 500. I'd never said any of that. But there were some disconcerting signs that we saw from that St. Louis series, and even that leaked into the opener of this series with the Giants. So happy to see them bounce back. And you know what? Really nice to see them get this win today. I mean, could have easily sat and rested on your laurels, said, look, we came back, we split a road series. It's been a really weird start of the season schedule with just 3 in New York and then out to St. Louis and then the West Coast to San Francisco. And the Mets found a way to make a nice comeback here and take 3 out of 4 against a team that I don't know that the Giants will compete for a playoff spot, but they have a lot of talent on that roster, without a doubt. I mean, we saw Robbie Ray and Logan Webb. We also saw Rope yesterday, who had really good stuff and numbers coming into this start for him on Saturday. So really, really impressed by what the Mets did, able to come away with a winning road trip. Yeah, did you think we'd be able to say that after the way they looked in St. Louis those final couple of games? The Mets actually end up going 4-3 on this first road trip of 2026. So very happy about that. Guys, thanks for joining. Leave a like on this video. Hit that sub button if you're not already subscribed for daily content on the Mets. Carlos Ortiz, sub Tony, great series W. Absolutely, Carlos, man. You can see it in my voice, or hear it in my voice and see it in my energy. I'm very, very happy about that. I mean, again, I said it was cool how they got not 10 runs on Friday, 9 runs yesterday, and they were blowout wins basically, right? But I still feel like this was the most important, most impressive of their wins, because they grinded out at-bats against Logan Webb, very nearly had a chance there in the 7th inning. Obviously can't come through with the bases loaded as Francisco Lindor grounds out. More on him later. But then to come back in the 8th with a couple of guys that, you know, we don't really expect to necessarily be in the thick of things when the Mets are having a nice big comeback. You're thinking Soto, Lindor, Bichette, even to a lesser degree, Francisco Alvarez. It's getting a leadoff double from Jorge Polanco. It's Luis Robert with a base hit, then stealing a base. It's Luis Torrens pinch hitting for Jared Young, who was 3 for 3 in this game. Also had 2 great plays in left field, one sliding to his left, the other gunning down what would have been a leadoff double for the Giants in the 5th inning. I mean, all around, really impressive win from the entire roster. The guys on the margins making big contributions, and maybe nobody bigger than Mark Vientos. And we are going to get into what a series Mark Vientos had this weekend against the Giants. Stanley, hi, Carlos. Oh, you're talking to Carlos. Okay. Hi, Nico. Since I tore my ACL, I'll be watching lots of Mets games since I can't really do anything outside. Nico, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope you're getting a better and a fast recovery to you. Hopefully the Mets will give you some more good baseball like we saw this weekend until you're fully back up on your feet there. Scott, Vientos plays where now? I mean, Mark Vientos has looked pretty damn good at first base. He has left his feet a handful of times in all of his first base opportunities so far early in this season, and looks like he's handled just about everything. I mean, there's been a throw or two where, you know, probably could have had that one, especially like that one with Brazoban in the 7th inning. Fortunately, they ruled that runner's interference for going into the baseline or whatever, out of the baseline. But I think you keep giving Vientos starts at first base, especially with the condition that Jorge Polanco's Achilles is in. Huge credit to him, by the way, for getting a hustle double there into right field to lead off the 8th inning. I mean, you could see he was going for it, and we know he's got that bad Achilles. But I think you keep getting Vientos starts at first base. Brett Beatty's now got the jammed thumb. Don't know his status, like I said earlier, but Beatty's not been swinging the bat very well either himself. So I think you just keep giving Vientos starts at first until he, for some, gives you a reason that he is a defensive liability there. And so far, it has been quite the opposite. So that's my starting first baseman right now, Mark Vientos. Wow, what a freaking series. 2 more hits today. I think that makes him now 11 for his last 18 or 11 for his last 8. Yeah, I think around there. Drew 2 walks, so he's been on base in 13 of his last 21 at-bats or 20 at-bats. I mean, has just been unbelievable. Gets the scoring going in this game with an RBI knock in the 2nd inning, just going up the middle with it. I mean, you love seeing him use that right field up the middle approach. That's when he's at his best. And oh, by the way, can still launch bombs to left as he turned on one in the opening game of this series. What a stretch at the plate for Mark Vientos. And you got to play the hot hand. So we're very, very, very pleased to see that. I said it all off season, guys. I said it all of last season, even during his struggles. I still believed 2024 Mark Vientos was in there somewhere. Now, it's a good week. He's got to continue to do it. I'm not going to sit here and say he's destined to go back to being a 27 to 35 home run bat and playoff hero like he was that year, but this is the kind of comfort at the plate we saw from him, spitting on tough pitches, taking his walks when they give it to him, using right and center field, and still having that prodigious power to hit some out of the park. What a freaking series for Mark Vientos. Scott Sherman, Vientos plays where now? I already said that. Sorry. Danny Caps, can someone tell Mendoza that you keep Vientos in the lineup? I don't see how you could take him out at this point, really. I mean, again, with Beatty having the jammed thumb, with Jorge Polanco and the Achilles issue, I just don't see any reason why Mark Vientos is going to be coming out of this lineup anytime soon. I really don't think that's going to be the case. Let's see here. Joe, Vientos needs to be in the lineup. Totally agree. We all seem in lockstep. It's Vientos time. I think I got my swagger back. Oh. Duarte, another win, baby. Let's go. Love it. 3 out of 4. Really nice way to cap this road trip. And now the Mets have an off day on Monday before opening a series with the Cardinals at Citi Field, and then 3 more with the Diamondbacks over next weekend. Carlos, Danny Caps, hey, what's up? You guys are talking to each other. You're messing me up. That's all right. I keep doing it. I like that. You guys are all homies in here. Stanley, Mets starting pitching has been effective. I would say even more than effective. I would say it has been unbelievable. Let's get into it, actually. Joe, real quick, Benj needs to shorten his swing. We are going to talk about Carson Benj as well. It has been a rough time for Carson Benj ever since that home run on opening day to start his career. There's no doubt about that. But let's get going here. Kodai Senga took the bump, and first inning was nasty. I mean, looked just like he looked in the opening, in his debut against the Cardinals at the beginning of this week. Strikes out 2 in the first, ends up coming back, striking out the side in the second inning, and then even struck out the leadoff batter, Harrison Bader, in the third inning to give him 5 straight strikeouts as he went 1, 2, 3 in the second and in the third. Worked around a leadoff single in the fourth inning by getting a double play off the bat of Matt Chapman. Did walk Rafi Devers after that, but then was able to get a ground ball to Francisco Lindor for the final out. Went 1, 2, 3 in the fifth, and then went to the sixth inning. I mean, a relatively healthy pitch count. And here's the thing with Kodai Senga's performance here tonight. He looked nasty. He looked like vintage Kodai Senga. And it's just unfortunate that he very nearly was going to get a loss in this game. If not for the Mets' tremendous comeback there in the 8th inning, he would have got tagged with the L just like he did against the Cardinals, where, again, it was a 5th inning that kind of derailed him. Or maybe it was actually the 6th in St. Louis, just like it was here today in San Francisco. And let's be honest about it. A 2-out rope from Matt Chapman, granted, ties the game up at 1 apiece. But then the 2-out little bloop from Kodai Senga that falls in front of Luis Robert in center field, man. First of all, Luis Robert was playing tremendously deep. I was really surprised by how deep he plays. I don't know if he's more comfortable coming in than going back on a ball, but That's a cheapie, man. And that was really going to leave me so disappointed because Kodai Senga looked amazing today. I mean, looked like Senga from 2023. Looked like the one we saw in the first half of 2025 before the hamstring injury. And I just thought he deserved a better fate than being a hard luck loser in each of his first 2 starts. But final line on Senga, 5 2/3, gives up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, strikes out 7 on 88 pitches, gets yanked there in the 6th inning with 2 outs in favor of Huascar Brazaban, who has been amazing so far this year. He ends up retiring all 4 batters that he faces, including that interference play that got Giants manager Tony Vitello ejected in this one. But wow, Senga has really impressed me so far. And I said this all winter, you know, unless you're going to get blown away by a trade, it's hard to believe that Senga's not going to look better than he did in the second half of last year. And I've always said this, didn't say he's going to be the guy with the 1.5 ERA like he was over his first 13 starts in 2025, but I was ready to put the house down that he was not going to pitch like the guy with an ERA over 6 that had to take a minor league assignment in September of 2025 either. And so far, he's been right there in the middle. 2 starts now, both times working into the 6th inning, 2 runs or less, both times 2 earned runs. And again, I think that blue pit just barely falling in front of Robert, who was playing so deep. Other than that, man, I mean, this could have been a tremendous 6-inning 1-run start. So huge shouts to Kodai Senga. Obviously, the bats kind of fell asleep there, but not without good reason. Logan Webb is one of the top starting pitchers in baseball, and he really mowed through this lineup after that 2nd-inning run from Mark Vientos with the RBI knock. Mets had another chance there. They go 1-2-3 in the 5th and 1-2-3 in the 6th. I'm sorry, but in the 4th, did have a leadoff base hit from Jorge Polanco. Unfortunately, it was the threat there with 1st and 2nd was killed by a double play off the bat of Vientos, but I don't even fault Mark Vientos on that one because he actually hit that ball very hard up the middle, but they were shading him that way defensively on the infield, and it was just perfectly set up for the 4-6-3. So even on the ball that Vientos makes into 2 outs on the double play, he hit hard and could have went down as a base hit if they didn't have their second baseman playing directly behind the bag up the middle there. So again, another tremendous day for Mark Vientos, even on his outs in this one. But after that, Mets' next best opportunity came there in the 7th inning. Leadoff double for Jared Young. Yeah, Jared Young, 3 for freaking 3 in this game. Fly out from Vientos to move him to 3rd, but then Marcus Semien strikes out. They have that controversial situation behind the plate where the umpire said it was a check swing, a full swing. Instead of a called strike, he asked for an appeal to 1st, and then it ends up putting him in a 2-strike count. He ends up going down swinging. Benj drawing a 4-pitch walk from Logan Webb. So nice to see that Benj at least was able to kind of control himself a little bit and draw the 4-pitch walk there. Francisco Alvarez reaching base on the catcher's interference to load the bases. And look, if you just want to talk about all the good in this lineup from this weekend, that's fine. But we do need to address some things. Number one, like I said, Benj, he definitely is struggling a bit. He looks a little overwhelmed. The swing is long. He's chasing. He's trying to do too much. No doubt about it. We'll see what happens with him. But Francisco Lindor had a really rough series. He finishes over his last 10 at-bats against San Francisco here in the last 3+ games as he grounds out to the second baseman there with the bases loaded to end the inning as the Mets were still trailing 2-1. So we go to the 8th. Bo Bichette leading off, grounding out to 3rd. He actually went hitless in this game as well. He did draw a walk there in the 9th. But it was Jorge Polanco hitting that ball down the right field line into that corner. Jung-Hoo Lee picks it up very quickly on a good hop off the wall, fires it in, but Polanco hustling, hurting, aching Achilles and all, gets into double to put the tying run in scoring position. And then after that, you had Luis Robert with the base hit to right. Looks like Tim Leeper doesn't want to have a repeat of having a potential tying run thrown out at home. That ball was hit hard by Robert. So hold Polanco, who was actually, pinch ran for with Tyrone Taylor. They hold Taylor at 3rd, runners at the corners. Luis Robert stealing 2nd, and it looks like he's dead to rights. I mean, like, no chance he is actually going to be safe. And they call him safe. And you look at the replay, completely missed the tag by the second baseman there for the Giants. Second and third now with Luis Torrens pinch hitting for Jared Young and just puts one down the right field line with 2 strikes. The Mets take the lead, make it 3-2. You just kept passing the baton on. I mean, it was beautiful to see. Mark Vientos comes up next, hits the ball, like I said before, down the third base line that if you don't have a Gold Glover and Matt Chapman, probably is a run-scoring double, but Chapman does flag it down. Throw, though, offline, Rafael Devers. I don't know what is up with the Giants' first base situation, but they don't have one. Like, it's the same as if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. Same with the Giants at first base. They have tried 3 different guys at first. None of them seem to be able to pick it. Ball gets under his glove. It allows Torrens to score, and then Marcus Semien, who had a great series, broke out on Friday with the 2-run homer, an RBI single. He has a RBI double in this one to pad the Mets lead and make it 5-2, and that is all they would need. Luke Weaver with a 1-2-3 8th inning. Devin Williams gives up 2 hits in the 9th. He's able to sidestep that, get his second save on the road trip, and as a New York Met, and the Mets improve to 6-4 and have won 3 games in a row. Very nice way to cap this road trip. Like I said, the most impressive win of the series for me is this one. It's not winning 9-0 yesterday. It's not winning 10-3 on Friday. Coming back with your backs against the wall. If you want a winning road trip, you have to win this one. You're going up against the Giants ace in Logan Webb. He is just, mowing you down there in the middle innings. You've grounded into 2 double plays, and you find a way to pull it out. That's what good teams do, man. That is what good teams do. I am pumped about this win here today. Let me go back to the chat, and then I think what we're going to do is go through my series grades for each of the different groups of players, plus manager Carlos Mendoza. Nico, I might be able to go to a game when they play Boston. I hope so, man. Danny Caps, the more Dev will keeps having the more Devin Williams keeps having performances like this, the more his confidence will keep rising. It's okay to bend, just don't break. Yeah, and I mean, look, we as Mets fans know better than anybody what it means to bend, not break. That's what we experienced all 7 years of Edwin Diaz, or for however long he was here. Hey, Hakeem the Dream with the $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Hakeem. Again, Mookie's going to get some bones with that $2. I appreciate you very much for sending that, my man. He says Lindor is trash. He's only good for 6 weeks. Selective, but a rough series for him. And like I said, that 7th inning not coming through there with the bases loaded, that was very frustrating without a doubt. Earl Daly, Senga really had a good game. Senga was great, man. Senga looked really, really good today. Like I said, I think that 6th inning kind of mars what could have been an excellent start for him. A bloop hit from Rafi Devers. I mean, man, like that one falling in with 2 outs, that sucked. That really sucked to see, but still really impressed by what Senga has done so far here in his first 2 starts. Let's see who else we got. Chris Pritchard taking 3 of 4 against the Giants is the type of team that David Stearns envisioned about run prevention. Well, I guess. I mean, look, we played solid defense. Yesterday was a clinic. Bo Bichette had a nice play. Francisco Lindor had that nice leaping grab at shortstop. Jared Young throwing a guy out today from left field. You had Luis Torrens throwing out Matt Chapman, who inexplicably was trying to steal second with no outs there and a 3-run deficit. So, I mean, the Giants, I'm not impressed. They look like a kind of sloppy team. They threw the ball around. They had some really interesting choices on base running and stuff like that. So, really not impressed with the Giants whatsoever. But Nico, Jared Young's throw was amazing. I mean, I didn't know he had that kind of arm, man. I'm going to be honest with you, and I got to eat my crow, guys. I did not want Jared Young on this roster. He has made me eat my words here so far. He has been great, both at the plate and then having a defensive gem like he did today. Not only the throw, but a sliding catch as well. So really impressive series and start to the year now for Jared Young. Stanley saying he's having a comeback season. I think so, man. I think so. Carlos, I was muted because we were losing a connection to YouTube here. I'm not sure why. I think we're all good now. Hopefully you can hear me now. Danny can hear me. He says, Tony HVAC, happy Easter. Tony can hear me too. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it, man. Happy Easter to you. Carlos said, oh, yeah, no problem, Carlos. I'm glad you could hear me. NY Card Vault, what do you got? We can't hear you, bro. Yeah, like I said, I think I'm back now. For some reason, we've been losing connection every now and again. I've been trying my best here to try and figure out what the issue is, but no help from anybody. Crimson Angel, great win, building blocks to getting on track for the next series. It's a start. Got to be patient. The Mets are getting their bearings. Hopefully the momentum keeps up. Great win for them. I mean, couldn't have said it any better myself. You know, it's a building block. It's nice to see guys that you don't expect to be in the middle of it all performing and helping them win a game like they did today. Even yesterday, Tyrone Taylor getting pinch hit for the 3-run homer to really put that game out of reach. Today, Luis Torrens with the clutch go-ahead double. I mean, just so many people. Jared Young, 3 for 3 today. I mean, what a road trip Jared Young had. I mean, I think he had 6 hits in his 4 starts or something like that. So really solid job from him. I mean, does he make it the rest of the season on this roster? I'm not so sure when Mike Tauchman gets healthy or if there's any changes, but it's just nice to see that the Mets had guys, role players, doing their role at an extremely high level. So, and again, getting some big time breakthroughs for guys like Marcus Semien, for Mark Vientos, Jorge Polanco. I mean, a quiet 2 hits today, but I mean, just has really, come around a little bit lately, swinging the bat, looking more comfortable. Hopefully the Achilles is okay. So let's see. Yeah, YouTube's giving me a tough time. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Kev Chata, when do you think it's time to send Benj down? He's pressing. I wanted to give Benj until at least June 1st. But I also do not want to do permanent damage to him. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but his swing is long, as somebody alluded to here earlier. I think it was, who said that? Joe Saturn. Yeah. His swing is long. He's pressing. He's trying to do too much, and he's chasing a lot now. He's, not looking like the Carson Benj that we saw during spring training, who would never strike out, who would use all the fields and would just spray it anywhere he could. So I don't know. I think I want to give him at least until June 1st. But here's the thing. I mean, if they decide that they want to put Benj back in Syracuse, then what's the other move they make? I guess you bring MJ Melendez up because Mike Tauchman's still probably 7 weeks out from even resuming baseball activities. So Tauchman's not walking through this door anytime soon. Juan Soto, what's his situation? I don't think he's going on the injured list. I'd be very surprised. I think that if they were going to put him on it, they would have already. So I think Soto is going to be in the lineup on Tuesday, but he's now got 3 days off in a row, which is great for that right calf strain that he suffered Friday night. So I don't know what they're going to do with Benj. I tried to give him more time, but they know better than I do whether this could do permanent damage to him, either psychologically or just physically from, struggling so much at the big league level. But I would give him a little bit more run. Maybe not every day starts, but that might not be a good idea either. Maybe he does need to continue to get trotted out there until he just kind of figures it out, sink or swim mentality. Let's see. Carlos Young in that throw was a great throw. I'm glad I got it in the highlights here. Let's see. Stanley Semien playing a solid second base. Well, we knew we were going to get that from Semien. He has played a very solid second base defensively. What we weren't sure about was his bat. And the first week of the season, it was true. We were killing him. He was really hurting this team. And he came on here in the last couple games of this series. Like I said, Saturday, RBI base hit, a 2-run homer. Comes through again today with an RBI double. He's starting to look a lot more like the version of Marcus Semien we hoped we were getting, who a couple years ago was really good, but has not been so productive at the plate for the past few years for Texas. So if you get that, I've been on record saying I think he's going to hit 20 home runs this year. I think he's got a good pull swing, and that's more favorable to righties at Citi Field than it is at Globe Life Park in Texas, where the Rangers play their home games now. So I'm excited about him. We'll see what comes next now. Earl Daly, come on. We know Lindor starts slow and is annoying that as that is. We can't act like the man didn't carry us on his back in the past. Still, he has to pick it up. I mean, we do this every year, right? I don't understand why this is a surprise. He starts slow. We get on him. We say he's overrated. We say he's overpaid. I'm not saying I do, but people do. And then he turns it on and he's carrying the team for a month to 2 month stretch. And then he might have a little bit. I mean, this is baseball. This is every athlete. Pretty much everybody outside of maybe Shohei Ohtani has a slump here and there, or maybe is a slow starter or doesn't finish well. So I am confident Francisco Lindor is going to be back. And hey, here's the great news. Gary Cohen actually said it on the broadcast as well, but this is an original thought. No Juan Soto, most of Friday, none yesterday, and no Juan Soto today, while Francisco Lindor finishes this series over his last 10. And the Mets put up 10 runs on Friday, 9 runs yesterday, and 5 more today. I'm no mathematician, but that's 24 runs in the last 3 games with virtually 0 contributions from Francisco Lindor or from Juan Soto. So I am pumped about that. All right, a couple more chats. Then I'm going to go through my grades here for the series. Unconscious zone. What's up, Zachary? Hey, man. Glad to have you in here, dude. Unconscious Zone says benching him in favor of Taylor is a better option for a while. I also don't want bench to ride the bench. You know, I'm worried about that too. I think that's as detrimental as running him out there and him, slumping the way that he is. So I'm not sure what to do with bench. I'm not ready to put him down in AAA yet. I'd rather give him at least through the end of April. And if by May 1st he's still hitting 150, 160, then I think it's time to probably send him back to Syracuse. We'll see where Tauchman is at that point. Hopefully Juan Soto is okay. We'll obviously know well before then, barring any setbacks. And then maybe you do pull the trigger on going to MJ Melendez, or don't forget this name, Tommy Pham, who the Mets signed just on opening day and is getting workouts in right now down in Port St. Lucie at the Mets complex. So let's see. Zachary Bass, Mendy coached the last 3 games incredibly well. Pushed all the right buttons between the bullpen, pinch runners, and hitters. Absolutely, he did. And that is a perfect jumping off point for my grades on the series. So the Mets get 3 out of 4. Obviously, smiles all around here on Easter Sunday. By the way, guys, before I do this, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily Mets content. Post-game streams after every single Mets game, as long as it doesn't end at 1 a.m. like the last 3 did this weekend. Hit that like button. Really appreciate that as well. Helps the channel out big time. And leave a comment. Leave something in the chat. You can follow me on all the other platforms as well. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Links to all those are in the description of this video down below. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into some series grades. Let's start with the starting pitchers. Naturally, Thursday, there's no way around it. It was not pretty for David Peterson. It was bad. Especially coming off of the ugly series in St. Louis, where the Mets really were in need of a good start to this 4-game set with the Giants. Final line on Peterson, 4 1/3, 5 earned runs, 6 runs total on 9 hits and 2 walks. I mentioned 6 runs total because don't forget, one of them comes around on the flip from Vientos to him, which could have been the final out of the inning, but Peterson dropped. Now, it wasn't a perfect feed from Vientos. I'll admit it. Peterson had to kind of reach back. You still should have had that one, Peterson. And I've always said, if an error gets charged to a pitcher, it should still count as an earned run on their ERA. So I am calling it 6 earned runs for David Peterson. I mean, he immediately gets the 1-0 lead in the first inning. I think it was Bo Bichette with an RBI knock, and we're thinking maybe things are turning around for this team after that terrible series against the Cardinals. And he gives it all back and then some. 3 runs in the first for the Giants, 2 more in the 4th or the 3rd inning it was actually, and it just felt like the game was over. 5-2, Vientos had a homer in that one to make it a little bit closer, but in the end, the Giants' plan of attack go after Peterson early, and they were just crushing everything that he threw. Really tough start for Peterson. He was solid the first time. Hopefully, he'll bounce back next time on the rubber. We go to Friday. Fortunately, that was Nolan McLean day. He did not disappoint. Doesn't allow a base runner for the first 5 innings. A perfect game bid into the 6th. The only hit, that is where it would end though, because back-to-back walks to lead off the 6th inning. He was able to get a fly out after that, but then a ground rule double to score a run. That'd be the only hit he would allow, and that would be the end of the line for Nolan McLean. He finishes 5 1/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run on just that 1 hit. Started a lot of batters 3-0. Fell behind in the count pretty much all night long, and still managed to come back and throw 5 perfect innings to begin his night against the Giants. I mean, he even said after the game, I don't feel like I really had anything working for me. The sweeper seemed to be the only one. I don't remember if it was the sweeper or what pitch he said, but he didn't think he had his best stuff and still fought back from behind in the count so many times that night to go perfect through the first 5 innings. Hopefully can find his command and his stuff, and outings like what we saw on Friday will become more the norm, except him going even deeper into games like that one. And on Saturday, Clay Holmes, the Mets bats, I mean, they made it easy on Clay Holmes, but he still turned in probably the best start that the Mets have gotten this season. I would venture to say maybe the best start the Mets have gotten in a calendar year outside of the one he gave them in game 161 last season with their season playoff hopes on the line. Clay Holmes, 7 shutout innings, got the big lead, never looked back, just 3 hits, just 2 walks, only 4 strikeouts in this game. So maybe it doesn't look like the most dominant performance of all time, but sinker baller, true to his name. 11 ground ball outs from Clay Holmes yesterday. Pitch to contact, like I said, the big lead, and just needed 90 pitches to get through 7, 61 of them in the zone. That's what you want from Clay Holmes, who's sometimes a little notorious for throwing too many pitches out of the zone, a lot of breaking stuff. Just went to work yesterday with the big lead. You love it. He's fielded his position pretty well too. I mean, like, what can't he do? I've said it before, Holmes, such a typical number 3. Doesn't have the highest ceiling out of all the starters in this rotation, but almost every time this guy takes the mound, it seems like he gives the Mets a good chance to win. Hard to ask for anything more than what Holmes has given the Mets so far through his first 2 starts this year. And then we go to Sunday. We talked about it already. Kodai Senga, I thought he was going to, end up being called, having a brilliant start. Unfortunately, that blue pit from Rafi falls in, but before that, at one point, like I said, from the end of the first through the leadoff batter in the third, struck out 5 consecutive batters. He looked like vintage Kodai Senga. Hard luck on that little blooper from Rafi Devers to give the Giants the lead, a 2-run 6th inning there, and he gets pulled in favor of Huascar Brazoban with 2 outs. But man, Senga looked good to me today. 5 2/3, 2 earned runs on 5 hits and 2 walks and 7 strikeouts, like I said. So, man, the early returns on this rotation have been great. I would love to give this rotation an A+. I cannot because of David Peterson, but I will give it an A. I will give it an A because of the performance from McLean. Unfortunately, he doesn't go deeper than 5 2/3. That's a little bit of a mark on his performance there. But yesterday from Holmes was tremendous. 7 innings, shot out. And then today, Senga pitching into the 6th. Had a little BABIP God going against him there with the blue pit from Rafi. This rotation has been tremendous so far outside of David Peterson's start on Thursday, 2 turns through almost now. It has been really, really, really impressive. It has given them a chance to win almost every game, including those 2 in St. Louis, including last Sunday against the Pirates where they lost in extra innings, and it's thanks to the rotation. So grade goes down as an A for the starting rotation. Let's get to the lineup. Thursday, let's call it what it was. Thursday was a crap sandwich. It looked like a continuation of what we saw out in St. Louis. That Wednesday game before, they had just 3 hits. And on Thursday, they kind of outdid themselves. 5 hits on Thursday against Robbie Ray, the former Cy Young winner, and the Giants. It just was ugly. There's no way around it. First inning run from Bo Bichette. Mark Vientos hits the bomb in the second, and that was basically it. The Mets scattered a few more hits along the rest of the way. Just ugly, ugly stuff. Robbie Ray just absolutely had his way with the Mets lineup. But Friday, fortunately, they finally woke up. Got started early, bases loaded opportunity in the first. Very nearly got by them. Brett Beatty rolling into a double play there that gunned down the runner at home and then him at first. But Marcus Semien, boy, did he need one, and he got one, the RBI single. Really probably should have scored 2. It seemed like Luis Robert may have forgotten how many outs there were as he was leading off from second, but in any case, 2-0 lead for the Mets. And then from there, the Mets getting a breakout game from Semien, because after that, a 2-run homer to center field. A couple batters later, Francisco Alvarez going deep himself. The Mets add 3 more in the 7th, 2 more in the 9th, and it is a nice, tidy 10-3 win for the Mets over the Giants. 15 hits for the Mets in that one. That was more than their previous 3 games combined. Crazy breakout performance Friday, but Saturday might have even been better without Juan Soto in the lineup, who was removed in the first inning on Friday. A few runs early thanks to some sloppy Giants defense. That was a theme all weekend for San Francisco, but the Mets kept their foot on the pedal. Another RBI knock from Bo Bichette. Mark Vientos, wow, what a series, coming through with a run-scoring base hit himself. And who hit a home run? Who? Tyrone Taylor with a 3-run pinch hit homer. Mets had just one all of last year. They matched that already in the first week of April. Good for Taylor, who had another run-scoring base hit in that one, as the Mets with 12 more hits. That's 19 runs and 27 hits between Friday and Saturday's outbursts for this lineup. And then Sunday, we know, first 7 innings of this game, man, I was getting conflicted. I wasn't sure how I was going to grade the Mets lineup for this 4-game series with the Giants, because it began Thursday with that crap sandwich, as I called it. Saturday and Friday, like I just went over, were tremendous. But then the first 7 innings of this one, man, Logan Webb, I mean, he looked good. He was just mowing the Mets down there, right? Simeon rolled into a double play. Vientos rolled into a double play. Mets leave a bases loaded opportunity on the board there with Lindor in the 7th inning. And then the 8th comes around, and you already know what happened from there. Terrence, Simeon, Vientos putting a ball in play to get another run home on the throwing error from Chapman. And the Mets end up finishing this one with 13 hits, 3 straight games with 10 hits or more, 40 overall in the final 3 games of this series for the Mets. So look, I'm going to grade the Mets lineup an A-. I got to grade this a little bit on a curve. I think a B+ would probably be more fair, just because of how bad Thursday was against Robbie Ray and the rest of the Giants staff. But I'm giving them an A-, and it's on a curve because they essentially did everything Friday, Saturday, and today without Juan Soto, who left the game in the first inning on Friday night. And the Mets, all they did from there was put up 10 runs, 9 runs, and 5 more today in a comeback effort. So an A- to the Mets lineup for their series here against the Giants. The relievers, we're going to run through this one fast, then we're going to get back to the chat, and then I'll do Carlos Mendoza to end it up here. They didn't have too many high leverage innings in this series, to be totally honest with you. The only one I could really think of was Friday, and we're going to get into it. But Thursday, let's be honest, David Peterson, after struggling through 4 1/3, gets relieved by Sean Manaea for his second relief appearance. He allowed one of Peterson's inherited runners to score to make it 6-2, which at that point in the week, with the Mets lineup going the way it was, just felt like that game is already over. There's no way they're coming back. He would give up a solo shot to Rafi Devers in the 7th inning after that to make it 7-2, but Manaea went the distance the rest of the way and really set this bullpen up for the opportunity to be rested and used in any way they needed to the rest of the weekend. So huge shouts to Sean Manaea, who, yes, allowed the inherited runner to score, yes, gave up the solo bomb to Rafi Devers, but soaked up 3 1/3 innings and actually asked Carlos Mendoza to continue pitching and finish that game for them. And that just gave them so much flexibility the rest of the weekend. So unsung hero for me in this series is Sean Manaea, because of how he allowed Carlos Mendoza to navigate his bullpen the rest of the 3 games here in San Francisco. So really impressed by that from him. Friday, it pays dividends immediately, because the next night, McClain runs into that trouble there in the 6th inning. He's got runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Just got bombed for that ground rule double to score a run, his first and only hit he'd allow. 2 tough lefties coming up in Rafael Devers and in Luis Arraez. And he goes to Brooks Raley. Brooks Raley strikes out Rafi Devers, gets Luis Arraez to pop up to end the threat. Unfortunately, if not for a ball that just deflected off of Francisco Alvarez's mitt that allowed the runner to score from 3rd on a pass ball, Brooks Raley would have stranded both of those guys. So great call by Mendy there to go to Raley, who gets the job done. They went to Brazoban then after that with a 6-run lead Mets had scored 3 in the top of the 7th there. Didn't love that call there. We'll get into that a little bit more later. They went to Richard Lovelady for the 8th, and it was the typical Lovelady type of exhausting experience as he allows a run on 2 hits and a walk. And then Luis Garcia finishing things out with the scoreless 9th. Really impressive job by Raley, though, getting them out of that jam. Saturday, like I said, really nothing to talk about. Tobias Myers takes over after 7 shutout for David Peters, or for Brooks Clay Holmes. He has 2 scoreless innings himself. Tobias Myers now so far through his first 8 innings this year, just 1 earned run. The solo homer he gave up to Ryan O'Hearn on opening day. Wow, he has been good. And then today, they go to Brazoban there with 2 outs in the 6th. He's able to get the final out, and Strand-Rafi Devers at first. Brazoban has a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. The Mets grab the lead. They go to to Luke Weaver, who is 1-2-3, and then they go to Devin Williams, who, despite 2 hits, gets helped out a little bit by Luis Torrens throwing out Matt Chapman, trying to steal second for some stupid reason there for the first out of the inning. Gets a strikeout of Jung Hoo Lee to end it. The bullpen gets an A for me. I mean, they were pretty much exactly what you wanted. Today specifically, you get 1, 2, 3 from Brazoban, 4 outs total, including ending the 6th there with a runner on first. You get a 1-2-3 inning from Luke Weaver in the 8th. You get the clean save from Devin Williams. Like I said, Sean Manaea, huge shouts to him for his performance on Thursday, saving the rest of the pen. Really great job from this bullpen once again. And they got an A in the last series as well. They might have even got an A+. I can't recall, but it was definitely up there. The bullpen has just been fantastic so far this season, no doubt. Let's go to the chat really quick. I'm going to just take a couple. Then we're going to go to Carlos Mendoza. I'm going to give my grade for the Mets manager. Tony Clay, steady Eddie, says Ray. Dude, that's my thing. Clay is steady Eddie. Just always getting the job done. I mean, it's just always giving the Mets a chance to win at the very least. Guts his way through it if he doesn't have it, or as in a performance like he did yesterday with 7 shutout innings. Stanley Torrens is the best backup catcher in baseball. Dude, Luis Torrens could probably start on half the teams around the league. And if the Mets didn't have a former #1 prospect in all of baseball in Francisco Alvarez trying to find his way, he would probably be the Mets starter. Like, Luis Torrens is that good of a backup. Just unbelievable defensively behind the plate, can come up with clutch hits every now and again. Luis Torrens is a starting catcher. The Mets are just fortunate that they have both him and Francisco Alvarez. Let's see. What else did I miss here? Ray, good to have you, dude. Unconscious Zone says, here's my intuitive take on bench. I think he's the kind of player that performs better when he's mad versus scared. A few games on the bench could rechannel his rookie anxiety. That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but some people get up different ways, right? You know, something gets them going, some things don't. So, I mean, I'm ready to try anything with bench. Like I said, want to probably give him to the end of April. And if he's still in this, low he's been in, hitting in the 180s, 150s, then I think it's time for him to get back into Syracuse. Otherwise, let's see, Nico, UConn or Michigan, who you got? I hope UConn, man. I don't like Michigan. I'm not a huge fan. I'm a Nebraska guy, so I'm a Big Ten fan, and I don't subscribe to that. You should want your conference to win. No. I don't like the guys in my conference. That's like saying, oh, well, the Phillies are in the NL East, so you should root for the Phillies. What? No. Not happening. So I'm hoping UConn takes home another one. Who else do we got? Kevin Chott, third base coach, has gone overly conservative, giving green light to go home after last weekend making the bad call. Yeah, Leaper's been a little more conservative, and you know what? Fortunately, the Mets have come through with hits after holding guys at third throughout this week, ever since that play at the plate on last Sunday. So I'm okay with it, but there's got to be a good middle ground there. Ray says, Myers is literally irreplaceable gamer. He has been amazing. He really has been. The guy that you can go to at any point. Feel like you probably could have saved him, maybe put him in a high leverage spot. We haven't seen that outside of Wednesday, the 10th and 11th extra inning game against the Cardinals. But yeah, I'd like to see Myers get his chance in some big time high leverage innings at some point. He's that good. Let's see. Ralph Centrone, happy with the win still early in the season, but maybe make some changes in the lineup. Would it work? Maybe Roberts leading off. Vientos moving up to the 2-hole with Lindor and Soto hitting after. Whoa, that is aggressive. I don't hate the idea of Luis Robert at some point leading off for this team. He has really impressed me with his plate discipline. I mean, he has challenged some calls and won that are this close to being a strike, but are not, and got them overturned. So this dude has been seemingly ahead in the count every single at bat this entire year. We talked about the walk that he had on opening day that he worked against Paul Skeens. Luis Robert has been tremendous as far as his plate discipline, not chasing, just taking whatever the pitchers are giving him. So I don't hate the idea of Robert at some point leading off. I wonder if maybe putting Lindor 2 would work and then Bichette 3. But Soto seems to like hitting second, and if that's what he likes, I'm not saying I'm going to just do whatever Soto wants, but I do want to put him in the best possible situation to succeed. So I don't know, but that's not a bad idea at all. I like that actually, Ralph. Rosie, so nice to see the bats wake up. So today's confident to SSRR, today's confidence comeback. Yeah, Crimson Angel, Bichette slowly getting better at third base. He's looked way more comfortable, had a couple decent plays. I think he threw one away yesterday, but it was going to be bang bang anyway. I don't think he probably had him even with a perfect throw. So Bichette has definitely looked a whole lot better at third base. Funny how nobody talks about it when he looks good there, but you know, when he throws one away or when he's misplaying a ball, all of a sudden the world's ending. I will say, probably should have caught that foul pop-up in the ninth inning there. That should have ended the game. He should have been getting that ball. And that's one that we know as Mets fans in years past, that leads to a big inning and a comeback and a walk-off loss, right? So, all right, quickly, we're going to get to the manager. I'm going to give my grade. Then we're going to preview the upcoming series with the Diamondbacks real quick. But, guys, be sure to hit like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already for more daily Mets content, post-game streams after every Mets game. Really appreciate you guys all being in here. It's a nice Easter Sunday win for the Mets as they take 3 out of 4 against San Francisco. They head back to New York now, off day tomorrow, 3-game set to open up with the Diamondbacks on Tuesday. So really appreciate y'all being here. And like I've said, you can follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Links to all those in the description down below. I do want to make a little announcement. I'm going to be a guest on Al Cintrone's WFAN show on Tuesday morning. So technically tomorrow night, but he does the overnights there at WFAN from 2 to 5 a.m. I'm going to be on as a guest. I'm not sure in what hour quite yet. We're still talking about that, but that's coming up tomorrow night, Tuesday morning, whatever you want to call it. So I'll be drinking a lot of coffee tomorrow at midnight. So I make sure that I could stay up for that interview with Al. But if you have WFAN, be sure to listen to it from those hours, or you can go on the Odyssey app, listen to it on your phone, and even rewind and listen back to it the next morning if you're not a night owl. So appreciate Al having me on, and really excited to do that. But let's talk about Carlos Mendoza. Someone said it in the chat here earlier, and I'm sorry, I don't recall who it was. Carlos Mendoza was fantastic this series. I mean, this was one of the best managed series I've seen from Mendoza in a long, long time. Thursday, there's really nothing that he needed to manage. Your starter threw up a clunker. Your bats were asleep at the wheel. It was not a blowout, but just there was nothing that Mendoza could have done to help David Peterson not give up 9 hits in the first 4 1/3 innings. But he goes to Sean Manaea. He trusts in Manaea to finish that game. Mets lose it, but you saved your bullpen. I liked that call by him. Friday, I think first big decision he had was, when do you pull Nolan McLean? Your rookie making his second start of the year. A perfect game through the first 5 innings, but a high pitch count because of all the deep counts that he was involved in to begin this one. And I think it was the perfect time. You had Rayleigh up. You had 2 tough lefties coming up in Rafi Devers and Luis Arraez. McLean allows the ground rule double, and they go to Rayleigh. I think it was perfect. And again, like I said, if not for Alvarez having a ball just simply hit off of his glove and go down as a passed ball, Rayleigh would have stranded both of those runners. So that was a great call there by Mendy to pull McLean there and go to Rayleigh. Decision put in Brazaban in the 7th with a 6-run lead. I didn't love that. I want to save my bullets as much as I can for games that are not that big of a deficit or that big of a lead. But I will say this. Had he put in Richard Lovelady, we'd all be screaming and ripping our hair out about that as well. Why are you putting in Lovelady? Now he gave up 2 runs. It was a comfortable lead. Now it's only 3 or 4. And guess what? That's exactly what happened in the very next inning, because in the 8th, we got the Richard Lovelady experience. Saturday, you got to give it to Mendy. Credit where it's due. No Juan Soto in the lineup. They give Jared Young another start on this road trip. He pinch hits Tyrone Taylor in the 5th inning with a lefty coming in, and Taylor hits a 3-run bomb. So if you want to get on Mendy for his bad calls and his bad decisions, then you also got to give him credit where it's due, because that 3-run homer from Tyrone Taylor is all because of Carlos Mendoza making the decision to pinch hit him there for Jared Young. So got to give the credit. The lion's share of it, of course, goes to Taylor, who actually hits the ball, but it's Mendy making the decision to pinch hit Jared Young there early in the game, mind you, the 5th inning, for the 3-run shot. So today, masterclass in how to navigate a close game there with his bullpen. Goes to Brazo there in the 6th. He gets the final out. He trusts him for the 7th. 1-2-3. Weaver, 1-2-3. You hand the ball off to Devin Williams. But even before that, pinch hitting Tyrone Taylor again for Jared Young with the lefty coming into the game for the Giants. Carlos Mendoza gets an A+ for this series from me. He managed it to a T perfectly. Like I said, Thursday, not a whole lot of managing to do, but still finds a way to save his bullpen by letting Manaea finish that one out. Friday, I think, pulled Nolan McLean at the right time, goes to Raley, gets the job done against the lefties. Saturday, not a whole lot of managing to do. Tobias Myers comes in, but the pinch hit with Tyrone Taylor for the 3-run homer for Jared Young. And then today, the bullpen to absolute perfection. Carlos Mendoza gets an A+ from me for his managing this weekend, guys. I thought it was tremendous. And that's our grades, guys. So I'm giving the lineup an A-. I'm giving the starting pitching an A. I'm giving the bullpen an A. And I'm giving Carlos Mendoza an A+. A's all across the board. That's what happens when you come back and win the final 3 games of a 4-game set on the road against San Francisco. So Mets are 6-4. Vibes are high. I'm very excited about it. Let's see what else we got here. Rosie. Oh, thank you, Rosie. Kepchada, yes, Lovelady should have pitched in the blowout before Myers. You could have went to Lovelady there yesterday instead of Myers, no doubt about it. I think Lovelady had been used. I mean, he just was on Friday, and I guess maybe was Thursday. No, I don't think he was Thursday. He could have went to Lovelady, no doubt, instead of Myers. But fortunately, Mets didn't need Myers yet this afternoon. Rosie says, I always like Tyrone. He's been great. I mean, in the limited role that he has, he's a guy that doesn't complain about it, doesn't, need to be in the center of things, just, happy to be on the team, happy to be contributing when he gets his opportunities. So really pumped about what we've gotten from Tyrone Taylor this past weekend. I'm running out of steam here, guys, but before we end here, let's preview the upcoming series with the Diamondbacks. That is somewhere on here on MLB.com, and here it is. So, Tuesday, the Mets begin a series with the D-backs, and it will be Freddie Peralta pitching against Zach Gallen. So Peralta, first start against the Pirates, we know, wasn't tremendous, not his best work, 4 earned runs in 5 innings. Really good on Wednesday in the series finale against St. Louis. 5+ innings. I think he went 5 1/3 actually before getting pulled there in a tight game that, again, if the Mets bats even just had a modicum of success with runners in scoring position, could have continued into that one, but unfortunately got pulled. But 1 earned run in 5 1/3 his last time out. Overall now through his first 2 starts, 4.35 earned run average over his first 10 1/3 innings, including 14 strikeouts. But look at that whip, 1.06. So limiting walks, not allowing a ton of base hits. Got a little damage done against him from Pittsburgh in that opener last Thursday, but I was really impressed with what we saw on Wednesday out in St. Louis. And he'll be facing a Diamondbacks offense that is really struggling. Nolan Arenado hitting below 200. What's his name? Carlos Santana on his last leg at 40 years old, also hitting under 200 on the early season so far. Corbin Carroll is doing Corbin Carroll things, so he might be the one big name you got to watch out for. But right now, the Diamondbacks, especially offensively, are struggling. And then meanwhile, the Mets will be facing New Jersey native Zach Gallen. So if you don't recall, Zach Gallen was a free agent this year. Guy that has gotten Cy Young votes in the past, really has seen his career take off since getting traded to Arizona from the Miami Marlins a couple years ago. pitched in the World Series with them in 2023, but last year was rough on him. Not an injury reason, just really had a tough year. Probably the worst of his career. Let's take a look at the numbers if we could find it for 2025. 4.83 earned run average over 33 starts, but you see before that 2.54 in 2022, 3.47 in 2023. Really good in 2020, the shortened season, and then even in 2019, before and after the trade from Miami to Arizona. But last year was tough, and he was a free agent, and he was extended the qualifying offer. He declined it. He was seeking a long-term deal. Nobody was biting on it, and understandably so. As much as I liked Gallen, I wouldn't have touched him coming off the year that he had in 2025, plus with the qualifying offer attached to him. And I correctly predicted, not to pat myself on the back, just to say the thing that made the most sense was for him to return to Arizona, and that is what he did. A one-year deal back with the D-backs, and so far so good. It'll be his third start of the season, but a 3.60 earned run average over his first 2 outings in 10 innings. Healthy whip there of 1.10. So Gallen's a guy that's pitched really well against the Mets in the past, for sure. So hopefully the Mets bats continue this little hot streak that they have been on. It's going to be fun to get back to Citi Field now. Hopefully the Mets can continue this nice little 3-game winning streak they're on. Excuse me. Oh my God. Choking on my own spit here. That's how I know the stream has got to come to an end, because I am donezo, I think. But nice win for the Mets. Nice series for the Mets. Really fun weekend. Taking 3 out of 4. Picking yourself off the mat after losing 3 in a row, including the first one out in San Francisco. The bats, tremendous. Hopefully Juan Soto back in the lineup on Tuesday. Hopefully Lindor starts to get hot. But there is so much to be positive about, especially this pitching staff that has been tremendous up and down from the starters to the relievers. And now the bats finally pulling their weight as well. A couple real quick chats here. Crimson Angel, Corbin Carroll is a good player for the D-backs, and Perdomo is a good one. Oh man, Perdomo killed the Mets last year. He is a great player. He and Corbin Carroll, 2 guys you got to watch out for. I didn't look up and down the entire lineup, but I do know that Arenado and Carlos Santana have been struggling in the early going so far. And outside of it, sounds like Corbin Carroll and Perdomo, not many other guys have been producing for them. Kev Chada, sorry, taking McLean after the first hit. It was a no-hitter after 7 to 8 full counts, 99 pitches. That was the time to do it, I think. Ray, thank you for tuning in. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter to everyone. That is the end of the stream. Mets get the win today. I appreciate you guys tuning in so much. We'll be back at it. More content coming out tomorrow. Plus, of course, post-game stream on Tuesday night after Mets and D-backs. But for now, that is it. Till next time, though, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.